Years from now, after we've been conquered by an alien race, the great celestial minds of the universe will likely look back at the 2018 NBA draft and say, "Ah, yes, the one with the Luka Doncic and Trae Young trade. It was the sexiest storyline in a very attractive draft." Flying a bit under the radar, though, is the fact that an exceptionally impressive crew of young big guys were also welcomed into the NBA fraternity on draft night. DeAndre Ayton went to Phoenix with the first pick, and the second big man taken was a high-motored, scoring-frenzied forward from Duke named Marvin Bagley III. Bagley's maiden voyage in the league with the thrilling Sacramento Kings has been both sensational and perplexing at times. Does Sacktown have a potential superstar on their hands? Or is this Bagley guy a bum that needs to take a hike? This is the Rookie Mid Report Card, a series where we revisit and assess the returns of some of the most prominent faces from the loaded 2018 NBA draft. In Part 4, we're going to take a closer look and chart the Year 1 progress of one Mr. Marvin Bagley III. Despite being the second overall pick and playing only the 15th most total minutes among rookies, it's a clear and encouraging sign that when Bagley gets on the court, he produces. In roughly 25 minutes per game, Bagley's posted averages of 14.8 points per game with an effective field goal percentage of 53.4. He's grabbed 7.4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block per game. Among rookies, he's third in total rebounds, fifth in points, third in attempted free throws, and sixth in blocks. He's got 17 double-doubles on the season. Even though he can be a bit predictable and occasionally stubborn, Bagley's offense is highly simple and to this point, effective. Marvin Bagley is a guy that runs, rebounds, and scores. While some players have offensive menus as long as the Cheesecake Factories, Marvin's offerings are more like in and out. He might not have something for every single situation, but he's got 2 or 3 things that you'll always struggle to say no to. At 6'11" and 235 pounds, he's a fluid, nimble athlete, albeit not an outrageously explosive one. My favorite part about Marvin's game is that he always shows up. His activity is consistently terrific, and it shows up mainly in 2 places. First, at the rim. Bagley is already one of the better cleanup guys in the NBA after missed shots. His second, third, fourth, fifth, however many jumps are very quick, and that compensates a bit for his lack of a plus wingspan. He's great at guiding and softly altering the flight of a missed shot into the basket. If you watch, he's often ready to jump before the people around him, and as a result, he gets there first. He's a pogo stick. As a putback scorer, Marvin is scoring 1.327 points per possession, which puts him in the 92nd percentile of the NBA, according to Synergy. The second area is in transition. I would argue that Marvin Bagley has above average fluidity for his size as a runner, and he makes great use of it after defensive rebounds. The moment that he sees that a rebound is secured, he gone. His rim-to-rim running pulls gravity into the middle of the floor and away from the three-point line. This forces defenders to scramble to account for Sacramento's perimeter shooters. In terms of creating his own offense, Marvin Bagley has one move that gets worked out more than any other. He absolutely loves, insists even, on posting up on the right block and getting to his running left-handed hook. This insistence can get him into trouble, but for the most part, his running left-handed hook is his version of Thor's hammer. You could try to take it away, and some clever defenders in the NBA already have, but the moment he gets access to it, he's going to make you pay. Marvin Bagley's development into an all-star caliber player will call for some shift in mindset, some deepened hoops IQ, and some improved ball skills. Marvin is a capable and willing passer, but he often gets such a ravenous appetite for scoring in isolation that he just doesn't. Marvin's usage rate on the season sits at 23.9, but his assist rate is a paltry 6.1%, yielding an assist-to-usage rate that's in the 3rd percentile of the league. That's really low. Bagley can't continue to be so stubborn and simultaneously so one-sided as an isolation player because it miserably stagnates and lowers the ceiling of the Kings' half-court offense, and this makes it difficult for him to play with some of their best lineups. The right side of Bagley's game has been a knock on him for quite some time, and it remains a work in progress. If he's forced to that side of the floor, he becomes less capable as a passer, less balanced as a finisher, and the quality of his decision-making plummets. This also shows up for him as a shooter, where Bagley's been in a holding pattern of showing glimpses for quite some time. You can see that he's average to below average on the left side of the floor shooting right, and average to above average on the right side of the floor shooting left. I'm mostly kidding, but if I were Marvin, I would tie my left hand behind my back for the entire offseason because his right hand could truly unleash hell on the rest of the NBA if he developed it. For Marvin, there are blueprints for expansion. Bagley is a more talented player, but it might not hurt to take a look at the ways that Pascal Siakam has grown for the Raptors. In terms of attacking mismatches in transition as a secondary playmaker and growing into a more dependable catch-and-shoot player from three, Bagley could easily mirror the types of production that Siakam gives the Raptors. Combine that with his current offerings, and you've got a lethal basketball player. This blueprint would be most impactful for Bagley on the defensive end. Bagley's lateral agility and quickness off of his feet are indicators that he could become a very switchable, disruptive force on the defensive end. Right now, the symptoms are things that you've heard before about a young player. He struggles to see the greater defensive picture, often fails to help as much as he should, and has lapses of focus. All of these things are driven by a combination of effort and hoops IQ. I don't think that Marvin is ever going to be a big-time corrective tool on the defensive end, but in the age of pace and space, it pays dividends to have someone that's 6'11" with quick hands and exceptional agility when you're attempting to defend the entire width of the floor.
Who is kicking themselves?
When it became apparent that the Kings were zeroed in on the idea of taking Marvin Bagley with the number 2 pick, the collective groan among the fans in Sacramento was so loud that it could have been heard from orbit. Pitting Bagley and Luka against each other is oversimplifying things. The bottom line is that passing on Luka Doncic was an emphatic statement in support of De'Aaron Fox, and you could understand why the Kings would lean towards some Sacktown loyalty. Off the court, investing in their young point guard makes sense. Fox has the look of a high-quality organizational staple. On the court, taking another ball-dominant player with the existing pieces on the roster could have added the burden of additional needed transactions. It could have led to unhappy young players, and it could have led to a cramped space for talent to develop. To override all of that thinking and to punt on De'Aaron Fox, you would have to believe that Luka is a surefire first-team All-NBA MVP level player and so good that it's worth it to upend your progress and start again. Years from now, if Luka is maturing into the star that some people think that he could be, and the Kings fail to find success in the playoffs, this conversation could bubble up again. Much like the Phoenix Suns, they've played fast and loose with their assets for the future, drafted horribly, and struggled to shed that goofball image. Can their quickness over thickness style, something that's propelled them to become one of the real surprises of the NBA this season, transition into a sustainable model for playoff success? It's possible, but the Western Conference is a notoriously brutal place, and the Kings aren't the only franchise with fledgling talent. There's still a lot of work to be done. It's one thing to sneak up on people with an athleticism-driven style. It's quite another to keep it going now that they see you coming. Although I wouldn't put him on par with some of the historic production of some of his classmates, I feel comfortable giving Marvin a B on his rookie report card. As an individual, he has at times looked almost uncontainable on offense. But can he improve his ball skills and broaden his impact by creating for others? Can he dependably space the floor? Can he become a fly-around defensive fireman? If so, he could turn into an all-star several times over. If he doesn't, he could turn into a stat machine that never perfectly meshes with Sacramento's focal point and ultimately leaves us wishing that we'd seen more. Marvin seems like a guy that really cares, and it could be as simple as funneling that enthusiasm in the right direction. I'm confident that he can do it. Let me know if you agree.